Welcome back, everyone. We're joined by Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows. Secretary Bellows, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So you've been out and about during the day. Sort of where have you been and what have you seen in terms of turnout?
We started at 6 a.m. in Yarmouth and then South Portland, where there was a special election, Portland, Auburn, Augusta, China, Bucksport, and ending the night here. What we are seeing is calm turnout, very low turnout, quite frankly. Less than 5% of the absentee ballots, registered voters cast absentee ballots.
Okay, so sort of what I'm hearing then, like low overall turnout for the day is what you're seeing.
Remarkably low.
Yeah.
Perhaps voters see the outcomes of both primaries as a foregone conclusion. It's unclear, but it's not too late to vote. Polls are open until 8.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about what's been going on recently. Of course, we know that the Anderson decision came down, so former President Trump was on Maine's Republican primary ballot today, as well as in other states where it was contested. Can you kind of give a little bit more detail about the ins and outs of the Anderson decision and what the logic was behind it?
Sure. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, sometimes called the Insurrection Clause, could not be interpreted by the states. That is a federal matter, and therefore Mr. Trump's votes should be counted today and in fact will be after the polls close here in Maine.
Looking at their logic, do you feel like that at all takes away from a state's power, or your sort of your own personal opinion about how they reasoned that?
I think what election officials like myself, secretaries of state across the country, were looking for was clarity. Regardless of one's personal views or ideology, the U.S. Supreme Court is the law of the land, and our job is to uphold the Constitution and follow the law. And
that clarity, does that help the state of Maine moving forward, maybe with other decisions?
It certainly does give us some guidance that we didn't previously have.
Okay. I also want to talk about, we just heard from you in the previous block talking about AI and how we're now unfortunately sort of seeing that used in a nefarious way, in terms of this election cycle. We are certainly staring down a very, very contentious election cycle. So how is the state of Maine sort of efforting holding that technology back, just in the sense of it not being used in the wrong way to mislead voters?
Voters beware. We've always said to voters, look for trusted information from official sources, talk to your local clerk, look on official websites. Now it's beware of what you might be seeing or hearing, because it could be a very high-tech fake generated by artificial intelligence. Now, what they may do with artificial intelligence, try to prevent people from voting, fraud, et cetera, those are all illegal and will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But in the meantime, voters really need to be cautious and trusted media sources.
Yeah, it is concerning because oftentimes sort of the damage is done a little bit. The voter hears it, takes action, or doesn't take action based on what they've heard. So even if they're prosecuted, it may be a little bit too late. So just very quickly, a couple maybe telltale signs that it's AI, or just how can voters really beware?
So we've done some training for our clerks across the state in how to identify artificial intelligence and report it. You can see there's still mistakes in the images, and if it doesn't sound like the person that they're imitating or quite look like the person, it might not be.
All right, good to know. Thank you so much for your time and your insight today. We so appreciate it. And folks, coming up next, we're going to hear from UMaine Political Science Chair Mark Brewer about primary day, so stay with us.